Hey guys, it's Director Z here. We're going to be doing another podcast, and today we are going to be watching the amazing, maddening, metal, psychedelic, vengeful movie known as Mandy, directed by Panos, Costamos, starring Nicolas Cage. First, I want to recommend a streaming platform that you guys should all be watching right now, because in this quarantine, we all need to be watching some new stuff. So a new stream, not new, but a streaming service for those of you like me who enjoy your horror movies is called Shudder. Shudder is a streaming service exclusively for horror movies, but there's also horror series and documentaries, and sometimes they do sci-fi as well, but mostly horror films and horror TV shows. Like Eli Roth's History of Horror is a Channel Zero. Very good. Also, the new Creepshow reboot series is excellent. Also, this movie is not exclusively, but it's streaming on Shudder. So if there's any reason to get it, it's to watch this movie and a bunch of other amazing movies. And you'll love it if you're getting into horror movies. So let's just jump right in. We're going to be watching Panos Costamos's Mandy. What's up, guys? It's your boy Director Z, and we're just going to jump right in and watch the Panos Costamos movie known as Mandy. The one I was explaining in the intro video before. If you just skip the introduction just to avoid my face, that's mean. It's very, very mean. But, I don't blame you. But here we go. We're going to get started. For those of you who don't know, or also, again, did not listen, this movie is streaming on Shudder, which is a streaming platform for scary movies and horror TV shows. And if you don't have a subscription, I highly recommend it if you're a horror fanatic. If horror is not your thing, then that's fine. You don't have to. But I'm saying if you really want something to watch and something entertaining and something bloody and violent and lots of horror movies that you can't really find on other streaming services, if you want like a night to yourself to just watch scary movies, then Shudder is a subscription for you. Shudder is awesome, and Shudder is definitely should be on your radar. What also I find hilarious is that I have a Shudder subscription, but even before I got the subscription, I had to buy Mandy. So I had already owned it, but I still got a subscription for myself just so I still got a subscription because I'm just a huge horror fanatic, and I knew there was just more than just Mandy that the streaming service had to offer, In fact, because they're playing the trailers right now, there's actually a great thriller, horror, violent movie known as Revenge, where a girl and her boyfriend are going a little desert vacay in a desert home. And then his douchebag fraternity friends end up being total douchebag fraternity friends and leave her for dead in the middle of the desert. But then she comes back from the dead and goes full vengeance on their asses. Like Black Mamba Kill Bill shit, but like on a different, bloodier, more like deserty scale, She doesn't wear like a Bruce Lee inspired Game of Death outfit and chops up the Crazy 88. Better yet, she just goes on a killing spree from those douchebag fraternity guys. But the movie's called Revenge, and it is also streaming on Shudder, and it is also great. It is also a movie I should put on my horror movie radar. On my horror movie podcast, because I've already seen it. Like, Mandy's a movie I've already seen, but I'm putting it on my podcast. Why? Because Mandy's awesome, and it's one of my favorite movies. And it's also a way I can recommend it to people, even if you don't want it. I'm gonna be there to shove Mandy down your throat. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. That'd be crazy. Anyway, so the logos are good. I really like the logo. Oh, the SpectreVision logo. For those of you who don't know, Elijah Wood played a little character in a little independent film called Lord of the Rings. And for those of you who don't know, that shit made billions, dog. Billions. So Elijah Wood, who played Frodo Baggins, actually is a really cool guy, and he makes horror movies now. Yeah, you heard me right. Elijah Wood makes horror movies. He even stars in horror movies. He did a little bit of he did a remake to, it was a remake to Maniac, and he did a movie called Come to Daddy too, which is a little bit different. It's a blood thriller, but it's a little bit slow burn, but the violence is there and it's really good. I highly recommend it. Elijah Wood's low-key one of my favorite actors, and I don't really mean like low key, like I keep it to myself. Like a lot of people know I like Elijah Wood, but the fact that he's also a producer and he has a production company known as Spectre Vision, he used his money to create weird and crazy ideas. His production company is called Spectre Vision, and I think it's Daniel Noah, if I'm not to be mistaken, because they have a podcast called Visitations, and if I really don't remember the name of his partner, I am so ashamed right now. But what I just want to say is that it is a very, very good podcast. It's called Visitations. And Elijah Wood's production company, Spectre Vision, has been making some pretty strange and pretty great movies, including Mandy. But Spectre Vision should definitely be on your radar of great production companies. If you know that a movie's going to be made by Spectre Vision, you know it's going to be weird and creepy and really good. So, yeah. Logos kind of start off when we're just going over some trees in the forest because we've established that the couple of this movie lives in this area. And it's like really secluded. You can kind of see how it's kind of disconnected from the rest of society because it's just a drone establishing shot over, like an overhead shot that just pans from trees to trees to trees, and then it shows some lumberjack kind of landscape to show that these people are, tearing the trees down. And this is what Red does for a living. Red, who is the main character's name, Nicolas Cage plays. And it's still going through these red lettered credits, which Red plays a really, besides, Nicolas Cage's character being named Red, we got Nick Cage with a chainsaw and a beard. Dude, he is rocking that beard, man. I love that shit. But yeah, so now he's chopping down a tree. I really like the soundtrack of this movie. I also love Nick Cage's shirts. Like I like that there's a tiger shirt he wears. There's a baseball shirt that's a 44 that he wears in the beginning of the movie. I remember somebody asked me, who's your favorite fashion designer? And I'm like, I don't have one. I was like, I'd probably wear the shirt that Nick Cage wore in Mandy, like low-key. And I'll be honest, when I was young, I used to just get on that train of like saying like, Nick Cage, is he a good actor? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even on the fence anymore. I like Nicolas Cage. When Nicolas Cage does projects now, I'm like so into it. And like, I know people were already into it and like I'm just jumping on the bandwagon or whatever. But the movies he's done like recently and the movies he's going to do in the future, like this one and then another one called Color Out of Space, which is what I'm going to review soon. Stay tuned for that one. But this one with Nick Cage is particularly different. It just showed me a different side of Cage that it's not that I didn't know he was capable of doing it. I mean, Nick Cage has range. Everybody knows that. He's a very charismatic guy. But what I mean is that other movies of before that I knew Nick Cage for didn't draw me to him to say like, oh, well, I like his movies. Like, movies like Mandy and Color Out of Space would have made me like, okay, well, I really like this guy. But the movies I saw were, well, when I was a kid, I loved Ghost Rider. I think everyone that was a kid liked Ghost Rider because you're a kid, you don't really pay attention that much. But, and then there were other movies like, he was really big for the National Treasure series, but I was never really into that series, so I didn't really watch it, and I wasn't really as into him and his ventures because of it. And it's not, I didn't have anything bad to say about him. I like Nick Cage. I like his work. And plus, he has an Academy Award. I'm not trying to say he's a bad actor. I'm not shitting on him at all. I think the guy is great. And I want him to do more work. And I know this guy loves acting. Like, you can tell. You can tell just from his, like, work ethic and just how he is as a person and, like, interviews and, like, how he genuinely is. That he just loves acting. Like, no matter what he hears from critics, no matter what, he doesn't want to please anyone. He just does it for himself, and that's the beauty of it. That's all artists really need to do, man. Just love your art and do the art. Don't worry about what people have to say. Don't worry about the criticism. Don't be like, oh man, everybody hates me. Everybody hates my work. Why do I even do it? Just do it. Nick Cage don't give a fuck. He still does his shit, despite anything. Love that about him. I'm not sure if I'm saying, well, we just got introduced to Mandy as Red walks in the house and kind of scares her, and then they did the Eric Estrada Chips joke, It was a knock knock joke. But the actress who plays Mandy is Andrea Riseborough. I never know if I'm saying the name right. Is it if it's Riseborough or Riseborough? But anyway, she's the one actress who plays Mandy, and I'm not sure if the correct term is graphic illustrator, because she makes these kind of Dungeons and Dragons kind of inspired art. She said that she drew something of a jungle temple in the beginning, and it was showing you a little bit like sketch by sketch, frame by frame, in the sequence before Red walked into the cabin. But Mandy and Red have this very intimate relationship. They have a very special love. I love that Mandy got up on the seat to give Red a hug, and then their little knock knock joke in the beginning, and now they're laying together as these psychedelic colors on the ceiling are changing. I mean, it could have been purposeful for the scene, for like some kind of symbolism, but I legitimately think that this is just this is just what they do in their home. Like, this is just how they get inspired, how they get creative, and like who they are as people. And I think it's very interesting. Like, it shows a little more depth in the character when you realize the story that was written about this. Like, hey, there's a couple that really has a deep appreciation for arts and like the colors and light, and sometimes they just lie down and look into their projector that projects different colors and different forms of light. And like, I think that's a beautiful thing. And they're just sitting together. He's rubbing her shoulder, and they're talking about like ancient myths and legends and stuff. It's a very, very good scene. I like that. Not just like murder and horror elements and thriller stuff in this movie. The movie has a lot of good romantic theme in it. You know, they know how to show a love story and make you enticed about this couple. You want to root for this couple. You want to know more about this couple. You love the conversations with the couple. And then we get a good pan upward to just see this crazy looking blue starlit sky. Oh wow, that looks incredible. These space clouds and shit are just moving like puff clouds. It's so crazy. It's so crazy, man. Mandy is in the water, and she's kind of coming out nude as Red is staring at her through an open fire. It's very much a foreshadowing scene. You can tell when the way the scene is built up, what it's supposed to mean, or like if it's supposed to play a significant role later in the film. Like, you could just tell. Like, there's a fireplace, Red is standing there, and then Mandy's getting up from the water, and then she rocks towards the fire, and the fire is kind of under her from where the camera angle is. And it's always meant to kind of make your head scratch, or kind of make you feel ambiguous as to what the fuck does that mean. And you're not really supposed to know what it means. But Andrea Riseborough looked very siren/mermaid in that scene. And if they ever do make a horror movie about mermaids or sirens or even Salem witches, I believe that Andrea Riseborough would do a great job. I feel like she has a great grimace, presence about her, like her face, and she just has a way about her that could really give a very, very ominous tone, a very, very ominous feeling in you. And like, if you see her like down the hall in just a medical gown, and it's like midnight, and she's just staring at you with that face she did in the water, ooh, you'd be terrified. Red and Mandy have such a special connection that even when Red's just lying down asleep, Mandy's just holding his hand, when he wakes up, she can totally tell he was having a bad dream. It's so cute. But Red cannot remember the bad dream that he had. Perhaps he had a premonition about the coming future. I don't know. It's a good question that will probably never get answered. But Nicolas Cage is thinking about leaving. Mandy's like, nah, it's peaceful. It's a nice, tranquil little home. I wouldn't want to leave either. It's a nice little cabin in the woods. You know, nothing bad happens in the cabin in the woods, right? Duh. It's the safest place ever. But Mandy's just kind of going through reasons of why she has a connection to this place and why she doesn't want to go anywhere. I think Red even knows or feels that something's off or something bad's gonna happen soon, which is good of Red, but at the same time, it's not gonna do very good. Damn. Just the delivery of the story, but also the story itself is a very dreadful, dark story of Mandy's father gathering his children around and say, hey, I'm gonna kill a bird with a crowbar. And then, lo and behold, there's a pillowcase with something squirming around in it. What's in it? And then he drops it, and boo, it's a fucking baby bird. And he has a crowbar. And wow, Mandy just said he lifted it up high and he just smacked it to the ground. What kind of dad gathers his children and says, hey, you want to watch me kill a bird? So the book that I think Mandy is illustrating is called The Seeker of the Serpent's Eye. And now she is reading about a crimson sky and then grabbing a green power source. It's pretty crazy. After Mandy did a very chilling reading from the book that she illustrated known as The Seeker of the Serpent's Eye, which, by the way, I really kind of hoped was a real book, and then when I looked it up and realized that it wasn't, I felt really dumb. But like I said, when Red plays a role in this movie, I was not kidding. Now Mandy is walking through the forest. Well, it's like a road in the forest, and right now the camera, the frame, everything is all red. Like there's a red tint or a red filter. And then the music gets really loud, kind of builds up. Not builds up, but like just starts playing like a really ominous score, kind of like an orchestra just kind of broke and said like, well, something wicked this way comes. Like you can tell from this song that something bad's about to happen or something bad is coming or approaching the character in frame, the character in the character that the audience is focused on as of right now, which is Mandy. But now there is a car and it's full of cultists that, well, they'll be revealed soon. But you just get a frame of each character. It's 5 or 6 of them in the car, and they all look pretty crazy. And then the main one that we're focused on is the one with the glasses, who takes them off at the sight of Mandy and tells himself, oh wow, look at that, with the Black Sabbath shirt and the black hair. Oh, you fine, baby. He's like, damn, ma, let me get that number. He's like, looking all good in that shirt. 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 The reason I'm repeating myself, it's also a Tyler the Creator reference, but it's also because the scene is literally repeating itself. Like you go once and then you went back to Mandy going backwards and then it's playing out again. And then it freeze frames and then all of a sudden we get the logo of these cultists. The name of the cultists, and they're called the Children of the New Dawn. Linus Roache is the name of the actor who is playing the cult leader known as Jeremiah Sand. And he's being consulted by, I would say, the head woman of this cult, but he's definitely a David Koresh or Jonestown leader kind of cult type, Charles Manson type dude, because he seems to have everyone here under his thumb and like everything he says goes, and when he gets angry everyone's kind of upset and they're gonna do whatever they can to please him. He just told that woman that was consoling him to fuck off, and I think Oh yeah, the man he summoned is named Brother Swan, and when Brother Swan walks in the room, he asks for the girl. And now the guy's like, "Well, yeah, man, I'll get it done. I'll get that bitch." The guy's name is Ned Dennehy. I think that's his. That's how his last name is pronounced. Dennehy, Ned Dennehy. He is also on he's going to appear in Guns Akimbo. I haven't seen Guns Akimbo yet with Daniel Radcliffe. And then he's also in Peaky Blinders, Good Omen. Oh yeah, he's in Good Omens. I think he's Haster. Yeah, Haster from Good Omens is Brother Swan and Mandy. That's so cool. Okay, so he's passed him an ocarina of some kind. And I think it's because he wants him to summon these demon bikers that I mentioned earlier in the introduction video. And that's literally the best description I can give you of what the fuck they are, because demon bikers is pretty accurate. I mean, they don't ride like motorcycles or choppers, like they're ATVs, but still, what the fuck do you call them? ATV demon bikers? What? Well, I for one think it's purposeful that Panos Costamos made the story of not just Red being Red's character, but Jeremiah Sand being Jeremiah Sand's character, as he wants to build this cult to be at a certain level of evil for the audience to understand that these guys, they don't fuck around. So his David Koresh leader type Jeremiah Sand is definitely the draw that the audience needs to look at and say, okay, this is the guy that leads these motherfuckers. And if he is as crazy as I think he is, this cult is also even more nuts. Because for someone to be that like scary or that charismatic or that just that cult leader, just for someone to portray that is going to be your draw. It's going to be that one thing that stands out about it, and the one thing that people are going to remember, because everyone remembers a good villain. Everyone remembers a good Charles Manson, the devil type character. The devil always gets the best lines in movies. So Jeremiah Sand's villain type, his archetype as he's introduced in the beginning, I think is done very well. I think the way he establishes control and the way he's like laughing and he has like these little mood switches and he's just off his freaking rocker, man. And Linus Roache, or Linus Roache, he's doing a great job as Jeremiah Sand. And right now we're getting Mandy looking at the book, and she just met with one of the cult sisters, or not cult sisters, or one of the cult mothers, because she was a little older. She was the one talking to Jeremiah. And I think she's kind of staking out the fact that, okay, so this is where Mandy works. And now Brother Swan is in the middle of nowhere in his truck. And I think he's about to blow into the ocarina. And when I say ocarina, I mean like it literally looks like an ocarina. Like if you've ever played Legend of Zelda, and that little thing that he plays on the Nintendo 64 game, literally called Ocarina of Time. You know, the theme that goes... Doo, 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 doo. Alright, let's go. I'm only doing this because not much is happening in the movie right now. Remix. Alright, no. Okay, so it's because the guy literally walks out with a piece of stone that is kind of in an oval shape, and it kind of peaks at one point a little bit. It kind of looks like a really poorly drawn submarine, and then there's holes on the side of it in which you can use your fingers to kind of change the two. See, he's blowing into it right now, but I don't know if it's like hearable. It also kind of reminds me of an Aztec death whistle. I don't know if you know what that is, but an Aztec death whistle is basically this thing where the Aztecs would step. Look, he's going to do it again. That's his little ocarina that I guess he's gonna use to summon those demon bikers that I mentioned earlier. And so basically, the Aztec death whistle is when these Aztec scouts would kind of check out where the enemy was and where they were going to be, and they would stay on the mountainsides like a day before a big battle or a big raid, and they would play those whistles for their enemies to hear in their sleep. And the whistle is like in the shape of a skull, and it sounds like fucking screams. Like, I know that sounds like, oh, well, that sounds like a fucking metal thing from a metal album. It's like, oh, I cry scorpions, and when I scream, lava comes out of my mouth and it burns your face. Oh, like, no. I literally mean it sounds like screams. The Aztec death whistle, when you blow into it, sounds like fucking screams of death. And there were like hundreds and thousands of Aztecs blowing into this whistle simultaneously. So think about this. 10,000 screams at once. That's fucking terrifying. Ugh. Anyway, back to the scene. Brother Swan is back in the car. I really he doubts that the horn or ocarina even worked, because, well, there was no kind of sign, nothing really happened. So now all of a sudden they're sitting there, and like, even they're doubting it. They're like, yeah, nothing happened. You got to go do it again. And then we start to hear, yep, there it is. We start to hear these motorcycle sounds of like engines and skids on the road, and like engines revving. Yep, there it is. They appeared out of a fog. It's like they appear kind of like in John Carpenter's The Fog, but like you can totally, like, the ATVs are like four wheels or whatever. The lights that are coming out of it are so bright that you can barely see the characters riding them, but you kind of see their shadow silhouettes. And one of them literally has needles and spikes coming out of his body. One of them looks like a fucking dark Sith Lord, and another one looks like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. Like, when I say the Gimp from Pulp Fiction, I mean the dude with the leathery outfit. And then another dude has pins in his arms, and he looks really chubby and bald. He looks like a Hellraiser's Bruce Willis. And then this guy, wow. That guy does look like an alien fucking Sith Lord dude. So now Brother Swan's probably fucking terrified, but he's got to go out there and give the message, which is, bring that bitch that Jeremiah Sand saw for literally 5 seconds on the road and can't even remember her fucking name, which is the name of the movie that we're watching, which is Mandy. Oh, there it is. There's a tiger shirt I was mentioning earlier. They're watching like a B-list sci-fi movie because there's a lot of Star Trek effects, but they're like so thoroughly intrigued that it's adorable. I like the way they watch movies together. It's cute. Red is a smoker. He's got a beard, and he's got an awesome baseball tee tiger shirt. This is why, like, when Halloween comes, and if I could, thankfully, probably never gonna happen though, grow a beard, I want to be red for Halloween. And I want to have a beast. The beast is what he calls, or I think it's the beast or the killer or something. The death machine or I don't know. But it's the axe that he forges in this movie that he can wield on this. He can wield it like a staff, basically. And so Red and Mandy are sleeping time. Everything's nice. But, it can't last very long now, can it? It is a horror movie, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. Bad shit's about to go down. As we look into the night, we see that most of the tree lining in the forest is blue because of the midnight. Well, not the midnight, but I just mean like the night tone gives it a blue color. But then we pan to the left and we see just red lights shooting from the floor and a shadow silhouette of those demon bikers from before, the ones that I said look like a Sith Lord and a dude with like needles coming out of his thing. That's a reject Hellraiser. So like, yeah, all of these silhouette dudes. Now they're in the house and the lights are flashing on and off like a fucking poltergeist, and they're just walking in like the boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. No, for real, they look like a band though, like a really, really cool metal band. They got Nicolas Cage. No, not Nicolas Cage. He's a national treasure. You see what I did there? You see how I made it funny? Well, it sucks because they held Red as they were taking Mandy. And poor Mandy has this look of, please help me, Red. Like, please do something. But Red is helpless. What can he do? He's already looking so regretful and so sorrowful. And he's like, fuck, if there was anything I could do, you know I would. Oh, they got the fat kid too? No. I remember Jeremiah, or one of the cultists was like, let's feed the fat kids to the fat kids. Let's feed the fat kid to the demons. And I was like, that's really messed up. Please don't do that. But we just saw the demon take him, and now they're taking Mandy. Oh god, they're putting a bag on her head like a sack of potatoes. What a bunch of dicks. Oh wait, no, they're demons. Of course they're a bunch of dicks. The mom, or like the lady that was talking to in the beginning, that's kind of like the second in command, she was trying to tell Mandy, like, everything's gonna be okay, you're going to be alright. And the first thing she does when she gets up is smack across the face. Just smacked her across, like, just said but I think it's because she doesn't understand why she's such a big deal to Jeremiah. I guess she wanted to feel worthy enough to be with him and have his children or some shit. I don't know. There's something intimate going on there. But now they're forcing her eye open. And they put a liquid in there. I think it was just eye drops probably, but I don't know. Because, she drank it. Okay, I'm not sure if it was water or some shit. It don't matter. It went into her eye and it was still really, really weird. And now there is a giant, oh look, a murder hornet. This shit predicted the murder hornets like 2 years before. Dude, it is a giant, oh my god. That thing even looks like the murder hornets. But they just pulled a gigantic, like, freaking, they pulled a rat-sized mosquito bug fly thing out of a jar. It looked like it had been sitting in brine. And they just picked it up, and then they were like, zzz, 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 and then it injected it into her neck. Like, it could have been poisonous. It could kill her. They don't give a fuck. Well, I think it's going to give her, like, a psychedelic effect right now. Psychedelics play a huge role in this movie. I'm not saying you have to be on psychedelics to watch it, but I'm saying there are a lot of psychedelic and drug themes in this movie. So if you're a little sensitive to that kind of imagery, then maybe you should avoid this one. Maybe you should watch the next one. But no, trust me, it's nothing that would give you like a seizure or make you freak out or make you scared or anything. Like, it's just, well, the pupils just get really dilated. And if you don't know what that means, just look it up. At one point, you just see Mandy's eyes just get, ooh, like she's on another damn planet. And now they're dragging her to see Jeremiah in this reddish blue room. Like, it's mostly red, but like in some matters of movement you could see like a blue undertone, kind of like if you're looking at 3D glasses in real life and you're just looking at everything's like red and blue, kind of like a purplish layer in front of you, like they're both together, and you're just like, what the fuck? So like, yeah, everything's like, what the fuck? And everything has like a trace. There's just blue like coming from a face as it moves to the left. So like some Matrix shit, bro. And then Mandy's tripping out, bro. And it's crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying, bro? Okay, I'm starting to notice a little bit of a pattern when it comes to cult leaders. Charles Manson was an artist. Like, he tried to make his own album And apparently he was kind of a good singer. Before he made his family kill Sharon Tate and such. But he didn't make... Okay. Charles Manson was an evil man, and he's dead. You don't really need to talk about him anymore. Let's move on. So, moving on from Charles Manson, what I'm saying is the pattern here, also David Koresh had a little bit of a... I think he played guitar and he did karaoke. I don't know if that was true, but I saw it in Waco, and then I looked it up, and there was in a Waco documentary from a survivor of the Koresh cultists that said that David was a performer, like someone who liked to be at center stage, and someone who liked to be center of attention, and he liked to do a lot to be there. Besides being the religious leader of a cult, he would always like sing or like say things to get attention or like give a big speech or a lecture. And then in this movie, what I notice is that Jeremiah Sand also has an album that he's literally trying to plug to Mandy. Even though he had a bug inject some kind of psychedelic into her neck, had two girls drag her to his room, and now he's in a bathrobe playing one of his records saying, "Yo, is this shit fire though? Like, isn't it though? Like, did you hearing this? Are you hearing this?" And Mandy's just there tripping out like on the fucking acid. Acid. No, I mean the fly injecting psychedelic the acid fly. I'm just gonna call it the acid fly. Mandy's just sitting there tripped on the acid fly like, what? And now, oh yeah, there's this weird part where it's a close up on Jeremiah. And he's talking about like waves and like the message of God had hit him, like he's freaking a prophet or something. And at one point, Mandy's face starts to become one with Jeremiah's. And I think that in Jeremiah's head, that's what he believes he's doing when he talks to people. He's having people become one with him. Like he's like, this person I've reached because I'm telling them the truth. I'm telling them the truth that was given to me. My message, my light. When someone believes that they've spoken to God, they believe they're doing you a favor, that they're giving you their blessing by being around you, by somehow you being in the vicinity of someone who's seen God. It just automatically makes you this holy person. Like, it doesn't work like that. It really, really does not. But cult leaders take it upon themselves with some kind of ego or narcissism, the way Jeremiah or Koresh or Manson had, that told themselves that, like, do these mental gymnastics with themselves that tell them, well, God gave me this message, or I'm important, or I did all these things, or like they're trying to make them just compulsively lie about themselves. They're not really looking at themselves. They're just making up these lies. Jeremiah's trying to say that I'm a prophet that God talked to, that wanted me to send his light through my music, and that's why I make music. And I'm like, do you know what every freaking artist, not in America, but just every artist in general, has tried to come up with something like that, like saying like, oh, God spoke to me in a dream and he said this is what you're going to do with your life, and they're like, well, I did it, and now I give my music to you guys, so I'm awesome. Like, no. For some people it's true. For some people that are genuinely talented, it's true. Maybe God did give them a gift. To them, yes. But Jeremiah Sand in this example, I'm trying to use a bad example because this guy in the movie Mandy is a bad example of a cult leader who thinks that every word he says is like, oh, nectar in your ear, like you must hear it or you won't be saved. Like, who gives a shit what you gotta say, Jeremiah? I don't want to hear your crappy ass folk singing. But legitimately, I think he's a good artist. But I mean, throughout this whole speech, he talks about, a lot of mysticism, a lot of understanding of the universe and his place, and like how he became this leader. And then there's just this part where he reaches for his belt loop, and there it is. There's a dick. There's a dick right there. He just whipped it out, didn't give a fuck. Now Mandy, I think Mandy's like trying her hardest not to look, and then she's like, oh my god, did you make this song? But like Mandy's like really tripped the fuck out. And I have no idea why Jeremiah felt the need to whip his dick out. He's pulling a full Harvey Weinstein. Put it back in your robe. God, I hate it when dudes just walk around like naked in the robe. Like, yes, do it alone when you're at home. Yes, and like, but if you're gonna kidnap a girl and play her some of your music, not even like Barry White or anything romantic, and you're just gonna whip your dick out, like, what the fuck do you think is gonna happen, bro? And then Mandy begins to laugh, which in my head seems like the appropriate response when you think it's okay to just whip your fucking dick out when you invited a girl to listen to a record. Okay, he didn't even invite her. He had demon bikers kidnap her and put her in Jeremiah's house. So Jeremiah did not willingly invite Mandy to listen to records or have sex. But she's in her basement, he's playing his records, and he has his robe out. But now she's laughing at him. And he's angry. He's fucking angry. Now he's yelling at everyone to not look at him because Mandy's laughing at him does not look good. It does not make him look like a god. It does not make him look like a prophet. So he's embarrassed. So he's saying, "Don't look at me. Don't look at me." And everyone's like, "All right, man. Dude, chill. Relax. We're not looking at you." God. You had your tits out and then you had your dick out. Now we're not supposed to look at you? Could you have given us a warning next time? And we find Red in a very bad state, let's say. He's basically bound at the hand over his head. And he has a gag in his mouth that I think is like... It looks like the jagged crown... It looks like it looks like barbed wire. Holy shit. But I think Jeremiah is just having a mental breakdown right now, looking at himself in the mirror like, who am I? But it's just like, Mandy laughed at you because you're a little dick, bro. Like, you can't just... Don't just whip your dick out like that. Like, come... Mandy is going to laugh at your little dick if you try to send her that shit. And it's going to be hilarious, and everyone's going to laugh, and you're going to be embarrassed. And this guy's embarrassed right now. And why is... Okay, guys get angry when they get embarrassed, but it's their own damn fault. Like, you're like, you brought it on yourself trying to hit on a girl like that. That's not how you hit on a girl. That's not how you pick up a girl. That's not how you get a girl into bed. You think whipping your dick out's gonna do you any favors, bro? You're gonna make it bad on yourself because, one, she'll laugh at you, or two, she'll take a picture and show her friends, and that... Or two, she'll, yeah, like I said, take a picture and show her friends. Or three, she'll tell everyone it's big, so that way when they actually see your dick, they'll be sorely disappointed. It's a bad world we live in. No dick pics, guys. We can't take any chances out here. No more dick pics. They basically impaled Red in the side, kind of like how they did Jesus with the Spear of Longinus and how it became the Spear of Destiny. Very symbolic, but then they dragged Mandy out. Well, they wrapped her up in carpet and they killed her already, but they dragged her out and they burned her alive as Red watches, bound and gagged. And all they can do is silently scream. Like, the scream's coming out, but we can't hear it. And that's purposeful, just to feel that unforgiving rage and just the pain in his heart that he feels watching the love of his life burn like this, upside down, hung at the ankles, wrapped in carpet, just burning alive. Well, not alive, but still. It's terrible to see it like this while every of these rednecks are just laughing and having a good time like a bunch of psycho freaks. It's a very graphic scene. Everyone's just witnessing it, not saying anything, just enjoying it, actually, smiling. It's pretty nuts. This is where you establish the cult as how crazy they are and what kind of shit they're into and capable of. It just makes you feel terrible for Red as well as Mandy. I don't know if I don't know if the soundtrack can be heard or if that song was heard, but that was like a very metal song soundtrack. Like, it's a guitar riff that occurs a lot in this movie, and I like it a lot. Shit, man. Also, the barbed wire around his mouth just makes it even more of a gnarly scene. Jesus. You see the blood around his cheeks from how tight it's wrapped. Ugh. Poor Nick Cage, man. You could, like, the emotional heartbreak he's feeling is so real, so nuanced. Very well done, Nick Cage. Very, very well done. Red kind of returns back to his old place, and there's a macaroni and cheese commercial, but it's a goblin, so it's called Cheddar Goblin. Oh, it is a type of mac and cheese. It's an interesting commercial. But, I mean, poor Red's just covered in blood from head to toe. And he doesn't have any pants either. So he had to walk in the cold night air in the forest with no pants on, with a tiger shirt. His face is covered in blood. God damn. If I'd have seen him on the street, I'd have been like, whoa, stay away from that motherfucker. God damn. Nicolas Cage sipping on a bottle of, I think that's vodka. And, like, despite it, well, he's trying to also take off the burning sensation from his arms by putting alcohol on it. But, like, he is pounding at the booze, and he's screaming right now. Because I think it is all hitting him at once what happened. That Mandy's gone and that nothing's going to bring her back. So he's having this mental breakdown in his underwear. And then he begins to cry. It is it's very, very sad. You feel terrible for Red. Because he had to watch. They burned her alive. It's a horrible, horrible experience for anyone. It's something you wouldn't even wish on your worst enemy sometimes. Well, I mean, I wouldn't. Jesus Christ. It's terrible. So, Red goes to visit a friend named Caruthers, I think his name. But he's played by an actor named Bill Duke. And he's asking for something called the Reaper, which I thought it was the axe because that like it's similar to the name of what the axe is, but it's the crossbow. So I was wrong. So he's getting a crossbow and he's getting a bunch of bolts for it. I like some of the lines that Bill Duke has here. Like when they're talking about the crossbows and he says, cut through bone like a fat kid cut through cake. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. This is the scene where he's like melting steel ingots and like he starts like molding the weapon into a certain form, pouring the hot liquid metal into like a certain shape. And now he's pounding away with it at a hammer to, get the metal to the right shape and to the right temper. He's just tempering the metal, basically. I don't know, if you've ever played Skyrim, it just kind of looks like the dude's just doing it on forging the flame and then forging it on a whetstone or a grindstone. I don't know the logistics of it, but it's so badass the way there's a light that just gleams right off the axe and it's so cool. Bill Duke had a scene where he explained how these bikers came to be, and they're called the Black Skulls, by the way, so that's what I'm going to be calling them now. But Nick Cage has that crossbow called the Reaper, and he's at a high vantage point watching these Black Skulls drive down the road like a bunch of fucking maniacs. They're making their presence very, very known. And they have no idea they're being hunted. Oh, got him. Nick Cage got the big spiky dude. And he fell off his bike. And then he got in the truck and he started driving it because I think he's going to run his ass over. But the thing is, Are these black skulls supposed to... Yeah, these black skulls are like more than human or some shit, so... This motherfucker is just on his knees shooting, not even trying to get out of the car. And then, oh shit. Nick Cage hits the dude, but the car flips in the air like 3 times. And then it falls over. Nick Cage is probably dead. The movie's over. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway. Well, the car flipped, and I guess Nick Cage is kind of out of commission now. Because he tried to hit one of those bikers. Ooh, and animations. Dude, the animation sequences in this movie are A1. They're very superb, whoever did them. The name is drawing a blank right now, I'm not sure, but the animation is incredible. We're looking at, oh wow, it's a very blue crystal lake. It's just shining and glistening on the tip of the water. It's beautiful. I think that's Mandy. Yeah, that's Mandy under the water. But she's dead. Or her eyes are closed. I can't remember what happens in this sequence. Oh yeah, her eyes go red and she like snarls like a fucking demon. I think it was like it was their way of saying like, yo, Nick Cage, wake your ass up. You ain't at home. You got your ass kidnapped by these black skull motherfuckers. And it's true. He is trapped, and I think he is now just understanding that. It's that gimp-looking motherfucker that I talked about, but he had more of like a... You know that Scream adaptation TV show that they tried to do on MTV, but I don't know if they did more than 2 seasons or 3? So yeah, he had that kind of like contemporary Scream mask, but in like a gimp costume. And it looks like a translucent, like if you breathe into it, the fog should disguise yourself kind of mask. And it looks pretty crazy. And he's like dripping like this Vaseline type water, just wet look. And he also tore up Nicolas Cage's favorite shirt. What a dickle! And I guess he does have a death wish because he has nothing. Like, Nick Cage has nothing. Like, they took everything from him. They took the only woman he's ever loved. So yeah, he has nothing. He's a very dangerous man to have nothing. Sometimes when a man has nothing, you don't know what he'll do. Aw, yeah. Nick Cage was fucking trapped on that lead pipe with a handcuff, and he kicked that demon in the shins, and he tore that shit off, and he smacked him with the pipe, and he kicked him down a hole. Oh, now he has to take a nail out of the back of his head. Oh. Reminds me of that scene in Ready or Not with Samara Weaving. Oh, gosh, she needs to do more movies. She is an excellent scream queen. She needs to do more horror movies. She needs to do awesome horror movies because she's awesome in those movies. So there's a scene where she's supposed to get out of this barn situation. I'm not going to say how because it's kind of a spoiler. And there's a nail there, and there's a hole in her hand. So when she puts her hand right on the rim, oh, the fucking nail just goes right through that little hole. And I could hear the audience wince. And even I was like, ooh, that's gnarly. That looks bad. So Nick Cage, of all the weapons that he's going to use to fight the rest of the demons in this house, he has a box cutter. Thank goodness we're all saved. Nicolas Cage has a fucking box cutter. So now he's going to slaughter everybody. Damn. You can hear the snarls of one of the black skulls in the living room, but the kitchen that Nick Cage is passing by, dude, it literally looks like what happens to my mom's kitchen after having the whole family over for the weekend. There's just plates and pizza boxes and dishes everywhere. The aftermath is just, whoo, people tore it up like a hurricane. And I think this demon's doing like some kind of demonic cocaine because there's like white stuff all over his face and white stuff all over the floor. And he's also watching porn, which Nick Cage is walking into, and oh, he gets flipped. Table break. The box cutter was ineffective. So he's taking on this coked out demon guy. The one that has the needles coming out of his arm. The one that's bald-headed that I said looks like Bruce Willis. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't really look like Bruce Willis. But he just got impaled. Oh no. Oh yeah. Nick Cage just slit his throat with that box cutter, and there's just blood pouring all over his face. And he's just laughing, dude. It looks so sick. It's metal, man. Nick Cage was made for this role, bro. Like, I'm so excited to see him kick ass. Kick like demon ass, you know? Oh shit, gunshot. Oh, the demon's using a shotgun. The way Nick Cage said, "You ripped my shirt! You ripped my shirt!" And then he just, snapped his neck. Nick Cage has blood all over his face, and he looks so badass. And of course, Nick Cage has to do a little bit of demon cocaine. And whew, he's probably gonna get all hopped up. I wonder, oh yeah. I was like, I wonder how he found his weapons after this, since they kidnapped him. And it's like, oh, it's right there on the still. I mean, on top of the, I forget what it's called. I'm drawing a blank. The thing above never mind. Never mind. He found his axe, and now Nick Cage is about to ask them a few questions. I'm sorry, that was terrible. I know. Leave me alone. Love how Nick Cage just sees this random jar of gray matter, like just gray stuff, and he doesn't even know if it's like poisonous or if it's like some kind of paste or glue. But he just took one dab from his finger, and now he is tripped out. His pupils are literally almost on the rim of his corneas. I mean, on his pupils. So you know this motherfucker's tripping. And he's got the axe on his back with the crossbow. And yeah, he's walking out like he is inebriated as shit. But like at the same time, his inhibitions are kind of gone now. So that's why, like, at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Cliff Booth just goes off on those Manson murderer guys. Because he just smoked a fucking cigarette dipped in acid. Oh shit, Nick Cage just fired one of the crossbow rounds, but the guy wasn't even phased. Because because it went right through him, and he's not a little bitch. He just grabs the arrow and pulls it right through and says, "Is that all you got? You cheap little bitch?" So now he's going down with his axe, and he's going to say, Nick Cage really showcasing that axe battle training. And this battle was really, really well done. Very fast-paced, very action-packed. The freaking black-suited one that took a crossbow to the face is going toe-to-toe with Nicolas Cage's axe. And he was doing pretty well. But now he's about to fuck his ass up. And now... Oh, that was the icing on the cake. That's what decided his fate. He said she's still burning, and he's talking about Mandy. But now he pushed him against a burning car, and now he's on fire. And he's like, "She burns, she burns." And then Nick Cage screams, "Ah!" Off with his head. Decapitation. And plus, he was on fire the whole time. So not only was it a decapitation, but it was a combustion decapitation. Tell me, do you even know what that is? Nick Cage just did it. He just set a guy on fire, then he brought him to his knees and cut his motherfucking head off. Nick Cage takes a drag from a cigarette that he lit with the burning skull of the demon he just slayed, and it was literally one of the most badass scenes ever. It was awesome. Now there was a close-up on his face that basically, told us that this is far from over. And now he's on one of the ATVs riding into the forest, and then he notices something. It's a very creepy scene that Panos Costamos built with, is it Richard Blake or Richard Brake? But with this character known as the chemist, that it looks like he's making these acid tablets, and there's a cage with a tiger named Lizzie. And so the chemist is there with Red, who's also still covered in blood and still high as fuck. And I think he realizes what, like, he looks into his eyes, I can see, he said, "Oh man, they wronged you." He could already tell what they did to him. And I think he also knows what he's after. You exclude a cosmic darkness. Damn, that's awesome. Once again, I think we see the animation I think is very inspired by the book that she was working on, Mandy. Because there was like this demon sitting down, and then Mandy's character in the animation puts her hand in an opening, like a crevice where a wound is on this demon, and pulls out a green shining orb that's supposed to be the serpent's eye that she mentioned in a monologue at the beginning of the movie. So like, as you can see, what they talk about in the book and what they talk about in the movie is later referenced in a lot of other scenes in a lot of other ways. Red is kind of spying on their new little camp that's like this little hut temple in the middle of nowhere. So Brother Swan's getting out of the car, and fucking Red, punches him in the face, drags him out, headbutts him. Blood right out the nose, and now he's right up against the tree. And the hippie girl's like, "Oh no, what do I do?" And this motherfucker had to make it worse. He says she burned brightly, don't you think? I forgot. Nicolas Cage is gonna stick his axe down his mouth. Oh man, this shit was gnarly. Even for me, like, it's a lot for me to say that. But like, the tip of this axe is in his mouth, and he sticks it all the way in, and there's just blood gushing out like a geyser from his mouth. Ugh. And he just continues to just impale the guy. It's so awesome. There's just blood dripping everywhere from the axe, from his face. It's fun. It's very fun. And then this hippie girl, she cried. What'd you do when fucking Mandy was burning in front of you, bitch? He's like, no women, no children. Oh, I didn't know that song was playing in the background. Okay, this mullet hair dude is really into cleaning this one part of the car, which is the hood. But like, he's listening to his tunes, he's taking his time, and the axe is swinging. Dude, the axe was swinging like a fucking throwing tomahawk, and it struck the blonde mullet dude right in the head. And then I don't remember the near bald-headed guy, or like the guy with the bald spot, being this freaking buff. Like, he has long hair, but like the hair, the top of his hair is thinning. Here it goes. Remember I said a chainsaw fight? It's about to go down. Like, Nicolas Cage has already done some cool fights and like some good deaths already along the way, but this fight right here with the chainsaws is gonna be dope. I like how Nicolas Cage had the chainsaw, and then this guy just said, "It's okay, I have a bigger one." And then he pulls out the longer fucking model of the chainsaw, and Nicolas Cage can't even start his at the beginning. And now it's just proven that the size does not really matter. It matters who wields the chainsaw. So even if somehow Freddy Krueger had like a longer chainsaw and it was between him and Leatherface, well, I know Freddy would win, but if it was just a straight up chainsaw fight, I'm gonna go with Leatherface. But this chainsaw fight's really unique. You don't really see a lot of people swinging chainsaws at each other, hitting them against one another. Like, it's not really that heard of, which that's why it's so cool to see in a movie like this. I like it a lot. So the big guy got the littlest chainsaw from Red, and the long chainsaw still on the floor, still kicking. And Nicolas Cage grabs and pulls a chain, and this guy's just laughing like the dude. Why is he laughing like the fucking battle's over? Like the guy's like ha 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 ha. Like, dude, you haven't even won yet. Relax. Ooh, he grabbed him by the neck on the chain. You forgot about that shit, huh? And then gravity just brought him down right on the chainsaw. And I like the use of practical in this. He's just laying on his stomach while there's just blood gushing from like 4 areas, like both of his shoulders and the side. And you can hear the chainsaw just buzzing right under him, and it's going. It's dope. And then, okay, now there's a pyramid. I think this was the temple hut that I told you about earlier. Now it's like a pyramid shape, and there's like a cross on it. And I'm telling you, this shit is red. Like, it's a pan down, and then like inside the pyramid temple is a red cross that's like encaved on the wall so you can see the outside. But there's red lighting in the room. And it's Nick Cage like walking up to this cross, and it looks very symbolic. It looks like he had a very God-sent journey, Crusader, Templar type. And it's pretty nuts. I like it. I love the use of red in this movie. I like the lettering, the lighting, all of the tone images, the filters. It's incredible. The use of red in Mandy is so apparent. So Mother Marlene kind of had to relay a message from Jeremiah to Red. And now Jeremiah's in this weird little chasm by himself. Oh shit, he cut off her head. And he threw it at him. That's kind of awesome. I'm glad. Fuck that bitch. Fuck all those cult guys. I'm glad he cut Mother Marlene's head off. That's her name, Mother Marlene. I wanted to call her like mother or sister, like the first mother, like something weird culty like that. But now Jeremiah stands all alone. Children of the Dawn and the Black Skulls are all but dead. So now this guy's like he kind of goes through an existential breakdown here. He's like, you can't harm me, man. Look at what he provides. Like, he starts talking all hippie-ish and like, I'm invincible and you can't hurt me. Saying that God gave me this gift, you asshole. You're not gonna stop me. Dude. Like, he's so like, the lights flicker on and off. Like, not flicker, but like the lights fade. And then they fade open. And then they fade out. Like, fade in, fade out. Not fade open. They fade in and they fade out. And then you see either Nick Cage over and over, or we see Jeremiah Sands. But Jeremiah Sands really trying to convince him, I'm a god and you're not. I'm a psychic, man. I could prove it, bro. Like, he's one of those dudes that just cannot convince people that he's magic or some shit. And he keeps talking shit about Nick Cage. And he called him an unholy abomination. And he says, you're not even worth my spit. What a dick, dude. The guy still has an axe and he just cut the head off of your girlfriend. He said it's all that hate in your heart. Didn't you light his woman on fire because she laughed at your dick? You're an asshole. Uh-oh. This guy's really trying to lecture him. He said, I can help you. I can save. Oh, look. Oh, all of a sudden he grabs his face and he gets all serious. He's like, no, please. No. See? Now he's scared. he's like grabbing his arm saying, "Come on, I did this for you." See, now he's crying. Oh, he's crying like a little bitch. It's like, it's really real. Like, he literally offers to give him head. He said, "Please don't kill him." Like, he's literally begging for his life right now, saying, "Please don't do it. Please, please, I'll suck your dick right there." Like, I'm laughing, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, yeah, he's gonna kill you. It doesn't matter what you say. And now he's like, no. Like, he's Smeagol. He has like two personalities telling him. He's like, "I will not kneel before me." He said, "I'm not gonna kneel before you. You kneel before," even though he's on his knees, and Nick Cage has his head in his fucking hands. And dude, Nicolas Cage gave one of the most chilling quotes. He said, "I'm your god now." And he's gonna crush Jeremiah's head like a fucking watermelon. Game of Thrones season 4 finale, baby. Or was it season 5? I forget. No, the one where the mountain crushes the Red Viper's head, whichever season. But the last season, yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. I'll save that for another podcast. But yep, Jeremiah Sand's head had exploded. Well, not exploded. Well, like the eye popped out and the blood. He's dead. Nick Cage is just letting the fading light, bask in it, as he's finally gotten revenge for the woman he loved. And I guess he has one more cigarette. I don't know how many cigarettes he's lit this whole trip, but he's probably ran out already. Oh no, he's burning the body. Duh. He's burning the head that he chopped off. He's burning Jeremiah. Oh, he's so considerate. Thank you, Nick Cage. Thank you. So Nick Cage walks from, a little burning church type building, and it's badass, and now he's in the car, and it's a recollection of memories. I think this is the first time he laid eyes on Mandy. It's like a smoky bar, and he has his 44 shirt, and Mandy's just there, and they both look at each other. And the lights play a beautiful part in their role of falling in love and meeting each other. Because the lights, the psychedelic ones, the one that are changing colors all the time, it was in the bar where they met. And now Nicolas Cage is driving. Once again, the red light appears. He's looking at his passenger side. Mandy's there. But you can tell from the scene that it's supposed to be, hallucinogenic. It's supposed to be in his head. Mandy's sitting there, looking at him. And Red's really there, covered in blood, driving. And all he can see is that they're both sitting in the car together, smiling at each other. But really, it's just Nick Cage alone in the car, driving home. But in his head, I think he, they got what they deserved. Sometimes vengeance and revenge are dishes best served cold. And some people just need that cold-blooded, blood for my wife type thing. And then it pans up to see this very crazy looking setting. Lots of red. It looks like 2 moons. It's pretty nuts. And conclusion to Mandy. It is over. Directed by Panos Costamos. Woo! Love that dude. He's also done a movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow. If you ever want to watch a slow burn thriller, that's really good. And also, I'm really recommending this movie also because I freaking love this movie. I freaking love Mandy. And if you haven't seen Mandy, please watch it. And if you can, get yourself a Shudder subscription if you're a big horror fan like I am. And if you want to keep watching horror movies during this quarantine / pandemic, whatever it's called now. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening to this Sinema installment. Thank you guys for listening to my review of Mandy. and I hope you join me on the next adventure, and all that. Don't forget to subscribe, and please stay tuned for the next podcast for another horror movie that I will be reviewing. This has been the Sinema Podcast, and this is Director Z, and I am signing off. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. Thank you.